Gautam, Gautam. I'm going to call it Gautam. Tom in Cambridge, England, writes to me. He says, Paul, my query is regarding live music. When we listen to live performances, say in a room, we can be anywhere in the audience and still hear where all the instruments are. We aren't fixed by a sweet spot where all the instruments sound good. The sound stage is right in front, as long as you are in the room. When listening to two channels, why do we need to be seated at a location? Why can't we have an equivalent sound reproduction where we are free to move and still have the same live performance effect? Well, the simple answer is one's fake and one's real. So imagine a live performance. Let's just think about that for a second. Let's say we have a quartet. And those four players are playing acoustic instruments. One's singing, one's got a stand-up bass, the other one's on drums, and what's our other guy going to be? He's going to have a guitar, okay? And they're spread out on a stage. Each of those players is an omni source of sound. In other words, taken alone, if you just think about each of those individuals, their sound is radiating, take the singer, sound is radiating out in this pattern that is omnidirectional in a sense. I mean, yes, of course, the voice is pushing forward in more of a cardioid kind of pattern. But in fact, if this coffee cup is the singer, it'd probably sound like crap. If this coffee cup is the singer and we have sound coming out at different frequencies, it's going to wrap around. I mean, you can stand, in other words, you can stand behind somebody and hear, right? You can stand to the side of somebody and still hear them. And you know that they are, if you close your eyes, you can say, oh, he's there. Well, you can do that because he is this single cylindrical source of sound. Now, that applies to all four of them. So anywhere you stand close, you're just going to get a different viewpoint. But it'll still sound like there's four guys on the stage, all right? In a stereo system, it's all fake. You have two sources of sound. For the most part, they're a monopole speaker, so sound is only coming out in one direction. You don't hear a lot from behind the speakers. But there they are. And this illusion that there are four players playing there is created in the same way we might think of a pair of 3D glasses. Or remember those old stereoscopes? You might have seen it, kind of the round thing that then you go chico, chico, and it would go to the next frame, and you could put it up, and wow, there was a three-dimensional stereoscopic viewer, whatever it was. I used to have them as a kid, and those were, if you close one eye, the whole thing vaporized instantly, right? And it was the change in the juxtaposition of the different, the angles were slightly different, and our eyes perceived it as having depth in the same way that our ears perceive that depth of soundstage only within a very narrow area called the sweet spot. And that will always be the case with a pair of speakers. Now, if we were to take four speakers and individually put them on that same stage and have four separate tracks of a recording, you'd have the same effect. You wouldn't have to have that sweet spot. Anywhere you walked around the room, you could hear the same thing that you hear here, but to do that, you have to have a speaker for every musician, if that makes sense. Then you can do it. But trying to reproduce it with the magic trick that we call stereo, that's why. Okay, great question. Thanks for sitting here listening to me. Okay, take it easy. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.